G'day rankers, welcome back. There's a lot happening this week in the agentic commerce space, especially around OpenAI, but I'll get to that next week, I think, because there's this post doing the rounds, and I think it's worth talking about because on the face of it, it's saying that Schema is useless. I don't think that's what the authors meant it to be, but that seems to be the takeaway people are having. So the experiment was a bloke, an SEO, Mark Williams Cook, did an experiment where created a fictional business, fictional site, and took a real address and put it in fake Schema inside on the page. I think it was the homepage. And then they went to Perplexity and ChatGPT and asked the address of this business, and those LLMs were able to return the address of this business. And from that, the conclusion is the LLMs didn't care about the schema at all because they were able to find the address and it had fake schema. And some of the takeaways have been schema is useless. And I think that's very, very bad advice. One of the things that the experiment was alluding to is don't rely on schema if you've got thin content, which I would agree with. And I think that whole experiment was directed at a group referred to as AIO, GEO, EIEIO bros. I don't know whether I am one of those, but what I would say is schema doesn't replace great content. Content is the story and schema is the index. Now, you could say that experiment proved that it doesn't care about schema, but it still found the content. And that content was structured even though the schema was fake. So, you know, if you've got a site where it doesn't make sense to set up meta fields for everything and you can't do that, you don't have time to do it, maybe you only got 5 products, whatever. As long as you've got it structured in a way on the page that the LLM can read, like bullet pointed out, really made clear what these things are, that's going to help, right? So good structured content is good structured content. And we've always taken the approach with SEO for the last 27 years that it's about good document structure. So a lot of SEOs I know would ignore things like alt tags, right? But we've been doing those forever because it's good document structure. It's good for the people with screen readers. Now it's good for limiting the amount of tokens an LLM has to use because it doesn't have to ingest the image, even though it could. So to say that, schema is only for things that, Google wants to mark up in search results is just not seeing the big picture. Because if I've got 1,000 products and I don't have any schema around those products, weight, size, color, it's a replacement part for X, GTI, all these things, and I just have that all in plain text somewhere on the page, that's unstructured. Now, if I have 5 or 6 people updating products, you've got a different set of standards for every page, and that's where schema comes in. It organizes the information. Like all of our agents that we have working with us on our desktops all have these skills files, and inside those skills, like we've got one for ClickUp, and it tells the agent how to use ClickUp. And those files are written in a format called markdown, and it's all very structured and easy to read. Plain text, but structured. And the reason for that is to stop hallucinations, stop mistakes, and the same applies to your website. You should be doing the same on your website as much as you possibly can, so the bots can understand it. I mean, that's why we built SKAW. I've just installed it on the first client site, and I'm just blown away at how many things and improvements we've got to make, not just in schema, but in things that the SEO bros won't care about. And that's things like your refund policy, your returns, your terms and conditions, your privacy statement, all of these things. So when you're reading these topics and if you get confused, just take it back to basics. How are machines going to understand what this product is about? Have I got consistency across all the other products? Does the schema include that, this part is related to this part over here? All of those sorts of things. That entity connection is where schema is really, really, really important. So I would just say to you that just think of, you've got to have good content. You've got to have good content. And what's good content? Good content is content that solves the issue for the shopper in the shortest time frame possible and with minimal cognitive load. Hopefully that's helpful. If you want to have a look at SKAW, if you want to beta test it on your site, I'm happy to talk to you about that because I'm looking to walk people through how to use this, and that'll inform our tutorial videos. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. So pay attention to your schema. It is important, despite what you might hear out there. Always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next week. If you've got a comment about this, please join in the discussion at LinkedIn, X, Facebook, wherever you see this post. Thanks very much. See you next week. Bye.